The SOS that made humanity show its ultimate strength. Part 1. The deep hum of the ship's engines filled the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Horizon. Captain William Carter sat in his command chair, looking at the star map that showed their patrol route through the outer edges of the Arcturus system. It was their third week of a 6-week mission, and so far everything had been quiet. Too quiet for Carter's taste. At 42 years old, with salt and pepper hair and 15 years of command experience, he preferred action to routine. Status. Report, he called out, more to break the silence than from any real need for information. All systems normal, Captain, replied his first officer, Mary Johnson. She was young for her position, but her intelligence and quick thinking had earned her the spot as Carter's right hand. We're on course for the next checkpoint. Should reach it in about 6 hours. Carter nodded and was about to suggest they run a drill to keep the crew sharp when Lisa Murphy, the communications officer, suddenly sat up straight at her station. Captain, I'm picking up something strange, she said, her fingers moving quickly over her control panel. Lisa was in her 30s with short brown hair and a reputation for hearing signals that others missed. It's faint, but it's definitely there. What kind of signal? Carter asked, immediately alert. I'm not sure. It has a pattern similar to our distress calls, but the encryption is like nothing in our database, Lisa replied, her forehead creased in concentration. It's not coming from any known Earth or Allied vessel. Carter stood up and walked to her station. Could it be from one of the mining colonies out here? No, sir. It's coming from Sector 47, completely unexplored territory. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this might mean. In the 70 years since humans had ventured beyond their solar system, they had encountered only 3 other intelligent species. Each new contact was a monumental event. Put it on speakers, Carter ordered. A strange sound filled the bridge. It pulsed in an odd rhythm, rising and falling in pitch. It was mechanical, yet somehow organic at the same time. That's definitely not random space noise, Guillaume, said John Miller, the ship's navigator. He was a solid man with a calm demeanor that helped keep the crew steady in tense situations. That's a message. Can you clean it up? Carter asked Lisa. I'm trying, sir. The signal is incredibly weak. Whatever's sending it must be using emergency power. Dr. Susan Parker, the ship's chief medical officer, had come to the bridge when she heard about the signal. She listened carefully, then said, "It sounds distress to me, almost like a cry for help." Carter paced the bridge, weighing his options. The Horizon was a patrol vessel, not an exploration ship or a heavy cruiser. It wasn't designed for first contact or rescue missions in unknown territory. Protocol was clear: report the finding to command and continue their assigned patrol. But if this was a distress call? How far to the source? He asked Miller. The navigator checked his calculations. At maximum burn, about 6 days, sir. 6 days off their patrol route. Command wouldn't be happy. Carter looked around at his crew. They were watching him, waiting for his decision. He saw the same thing in all their eyes: curiosity, concern, and a readiness to help. Lisa, send a message to command. Inform them we've detected a possible distress signal of unknown origin and are diverting to investigate. Yes, sir, she replied with a smile. John, plot a course. Frank, I need everything you can give me from the engines. Chief Engineer Frank. Adams nodded from his station. I'll give you maximum safe speed, Captain. Any faster and we risk burning out the drive. Understood. Let's move, people. Someone out there needs help. The Horizon changed course, its engines pushing to their limits as it headed toward the mysterious signal. Carter returned to his chair, feeling the slight increase in vibration as the ship accelerated. Captain? Mary asked quietly. What if it's a trap? The Kraxan Empire has been pushing at our borders lately. Carter nodded, acknowledging the concern. That's why we'll approach with caution, but we can't ignore a distress call no matter where it's from. It's the first rule of space travel. You help those in need. As the days passed, the signal grew stronger. Lisa worked tirelessly to decode it, getting little sleep as she ran pattern after pattern through the ship's computers. On the 4th day, she burst onto the bridge, her eyes wide with excitement. Captain, I've got it. It's definitely a distress call. The language is unlike anything we've seen before, but the mathematical sequence is universal. They're asking for help. Any details on what kind of help they need? Carter asked. The message repeats, ship damaged. Life support failing, please assist. There's more, but it's still too garbled to make out. Carter ordered the ship to yellow alert status. They were entering unknown territory, and caution was necessary. But his heart raced with anticipation. If this was a new species, it would be a historic encounter. On the 6th day, as they neared the source of the signal, the ship's sensors detected a massive object ahead. Visual range in 30 seconds, Captain, Miller announced. On screen, Carter ordered. The image that appeared left everyone speechless. It was a ship, but unlike any they had seen before. It was huge, at least 10 times the size of the horizon. Its design was organic, almost like a giant sea creature, with sections that glowed with faint internal light. Parts of its hull showed severe damage with dark areas where the glow had faded. Life signs? Carter asked, finding his voice. Science Officer Alan Peters studied his readings. Thousands, sir, but many appear to be in distress. Their life support must be failing, just as the message said. Carter stood up, his decision already made. Prepare an away team, medical and engineering personnel. We're going to help them. Sir, Mary cautioned, we should wait for backup. Command will have dispatched. Anyone command sends will be at least 2 weeks away. Carter interrupted. These people don't have 2 weeks. We're here now and we're going to do whatever we can. As the horizon moved closer to the alien vessel, Carter felt a mix of awe and determination. This was why he had joined the Earth Alliance, not just to explore but to represent the best of humanity among the stars. Open a channel, he ordered. Let's tell them help has arrived. None of the crew knew it yet, but they were about to embark on a mission that would showcase humanity's greatest strength. Not their technology or their weapons, but their unwavering compassion and their refusal to abandon those in need, even if they came from across the stars. The SOS that made humanity show its ultimate strength. Part 2. The shuttle from the horizon approached the damaged alien vessel carefully. Captain William Carter sat beside pilot John Miller, watching as they got closer to a section of the ship that appeared to be an entry point. The shuttle's lights illuminated the strange coral-like surface of the alien craft. It looks almost alive, said Dr. Susan Parker, who sat behind them with the rest of the away team. The material seems partly organic, agreed Alan Peters, the science officer. His handheld scanner beeped steadily as it collected data. Nothing like I've ever seen before. As they neared what looked like a docking area, they saw a soft blue light begin to pulse around the opening. It was a welcoming signal. They're inviting us in, Carter said. He felt a mix of excitement and caution. This was a historic moment, likely the first contact between humans and this alien species. Everyone remember the plan. We're here to help, but stay alert. Miller guided the shuttle into the opening, which expanded to accommodate them. Once inside, they found themselves in a large chamber with walls that glowed with the same blue light they had seen outside. The area had atmosphere, and their instruments showed it was breathable, though slightly richer in oxygen than Earth normal. Suits on, but helmets can stay off, Carter ordered. Let's not take unnecessary risks. As the team exited the shuttle, they were met by 3 tall, slender beings. The aliens stood at least 7 feet tall, with willowy limbs and iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors in the light. Their faces had 2 large almond-shaped eyes that glowed with an inner light, small nose-like openings, and thin mouths. They wore simple garments that looked like flowing robes. One of the aliens stepped forward. Its skin color changed from blue to a softer green as it approached. It raised a 6-fingered hand in what seemed like a greeting gesture. Hello, Carter said, moving forward slowly with his hands open to show they were empty. We received your distress call. We're here to help. The alien tilted its head, then made a series of soft musical sounds. The universal translator on Carter's wrist beeped as it tried to process the new language. After a moment, the device spoke. Welcome. Help. Grateful. The translation was broken, but the meaning was clear enough. The alien who had stepped forward touched its chest. Klavaran, it said, the sound somehow both sharp and flowing at the same time. Klavaran, Carter repeated, then touched his own chest. William Carter. Over the next few hours, as the translator gathered more data, communication became easier. The aliens called themselves the Invari. They were explorers from a star system several hundred light-years distant. Their ship had been damaged in an unprovoked attack by another species called the Drikari. How long ago was the attack? Carter asked Klavaran, who seemed to be the leader. The Invari's skin shifted to a sad blue color. What your kind would measure as nearly 3 Earth years. The away team exchanged shocked glances. 3 years. The Invari had been sending out their distress call for 3 years before someone finally answered. Have no other ships come to help you? Susan asked. Many ships detected our call, Klavaran replied. All changed course away. You are the first to come. Carter felt a mix of anger and pride at this revelation. Anger that so many had ignored beings in need, and pride that it was humanity who had finally stopped to help. Klavaran led them deeper into the ship, showing them the damage. The vessel was massive, designed to carry thousands of Invari on long exploration missions. But now many sections were dark and cold. The life support systems were failing, and the ship's unique biomechanical heart was damaged beyond the Invari's ability to repair. In the medical section, the away team saw hundreds of Invari lying in what looked like sleeping pods, but they weren't sleeping. They are in stasis, Klavaran explained, to preserve life when support systems began to fail. Many will not wake again if help does not come soon. Dr. Parker scanned several of the Invari with her medical equipment, her face growing more concerned with each reading. Captain, she said quietly to Carter, it's not just the ship that's damaged. These people are sick. There's some kind of radiation damage to their cells. I've never seen anything like it. Can you help them? Carter asked. I don't know. Their biology is so different from ours. I need more time and better equipment than what we brought on the shuttle. As they continued the tour, Frank Adams, the chief engineer, was examining the ship's systems with growing concern. Their technology is incredible, he told Carter. It's a blend of mechanical engineering and biological components. The ship is practically a living thing, but that makes it harder for us to repair with our tools and methods. How bad is it? Carter asked. Bad, sir. Their main power core is operating at less than 20%. Life support for the active sections will fail within 2 weeks at current rates. And that's assuming nothing else breaks down. Carter nodded, taking in the information. The situation was worse than he had feared. This wasn't a simple rescue mission where they could evacuate survivors to the horizon. There were thousands of Invari, far too many for their small patrol vessel to accommodate. When they returned to the shuttle bay, Carter made his decision. Klavaran, we want to help you and your people. We'll need to bring more of our team over. And equipment from our ship. The Invari leader's skin brightened to a hopeful yellow. You will stay? You will help us? Yes, Carter promised. We'll do everything we can. Back on the horizon, Carter called a meeting of his senior staff. The situation was grim. So let me understand this, Mary Johnson said after hearing the reports. They need major repairs we may not be able to provide. Their people are suffering from radiation damage we don't know how to treat, and there are thousands of them we can't evacuate. That's the situation, Carter confirmed. Sir, Mary continued, I need to point out that we're not equipped for this kind of rescue operation. Protocol says we should call for a specialized fleet. By the time a fleet arrives, these people will be dead, Carter replied firmly. We're all they have right now. He looked around at his team. I know the odds are against us, but I'm not willing to join the list of ships that detected their call and chose to do nothing. We are going to help them. We're going to find a way. The room fell silent as his words sank in. Then, one by one, the crew members nodded in agreement. Well, said Frank Adams with a smile, I've always enjoyed a good challenge. Dr. Parker was already making notes on her tablet. I'll need to set up a proper medical lab on their ship, and we'll need to prioritize the most critical patients. As the team began planning, Carter felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best, facing impossible odds to help strangers from across the stars, simply because it was the right thing to do. What none of them realized yet was that this mission would test the limits of human ingenuity, compassion, and determination in ways they could never have imagined. The SOS that made humanity show its ultimate strength. Part 3 days passed on the Invari ship. The crew of the Horizon had set up a temporary base in one of the more stable sections. They worked in shifts, trying to understand the alien technology and find ways to help the dying species. Dr. Susan Parker had converted part of the area into a medical lab, where she studied the Invari biology and the strange radiation poisoning affecting them. Captain William Carter walked through the makeshift camp, checking on his people. Everyone looked tired. They were working around the clock, pushing themselves to their limits, but no one complained. They all understood what was at stake. "Any progress?" Carter asked as he joined Frank Adams at what passed for the ship's engine room. The chief engineer looked up from a complex diagram he was studying. Dark circles showed under his eyes. "Some. Their power system is incredible. It's like a living heart that creates energy. But the Drakari weapons damaged it on a cellular level. We can't just replace parts. Can we repair it?" Frank ran a hand through his messy hair. "Maybe, but not with what we have on the horizon. We'd need specialized equipment, experts in biological engineering, materials we don't carry." Carter nodded, hiding his disappointment. He'd expected this answer, but he'd hoped for better news. "Keep working on it. There has to be a way." Next, he visited the medical lab. Dr. Parker was bent over a microscope examining tissue samples. Her assistant, Ben Kelly, was recording data on a tablet. "Susan, what's the situation?" Carter asked. She straightened, rubbing her lower back. "Not good, Will. The radiation is unlike anything I've seen before. It's breaking down their cellular structure. I've tried every treatment I can think of, but at best, I'm only slowing the process." "How long? 2 weeks, maybe 3 before we start losing patients. The ones in stasis might last longer, but eventually their pods will fail too." She gestured to her workstation, covered with sample slides and test tubes. "I need a full research hospital for this, not a field kit." Carter thanked her and continued his rounds. The news was the same everywhere. His people were doing their best, but the problems were too big, too complex. With each passing hour, the situation looked more hopeless. He found Lisa Murphy setting up additional communication equipment near the shuttle. "Captain," she greeted him. "I've boosted our signal strength. Our reports to command should be getting through now. Any response?" Lisa shook her head. "Nothing yet. But at this distance, it could take time. Or they could be ignoring us," Carter said quietly. The thought had been bothering him. What if Earth Alliance Command decided this mission was too risky? What if they ordered the Horizon to abandon the Invari and return to patrol? "They wouldn't do that," Lisa said, but her voice lacked conviction. That evening, Carter met with Cleveron to give him an update. The Invari leader listened patiently as Carter explained their progress, or lack of it. "So we cannot be saved," Cleveron said when Carter finished. His skin had turned a deep blue, almost black. It was the color of grief. "I didn't say that," Carter replied firmly. "I said we don't have all we need right now, but we're not giving up. You are kind to say this, but we understand reality. Many ships before yours detected our call. All chose to leave us. We expected you would do the same." Carter felt anger rising within him, not at Culveron, but at all those who had abandoned these people. "We are not like them. Humans don't leave people to die if we can help it." "Even aliens you never met before?" Culveron asked, his large eyes studying Carter's face. "Even aliens," Carter confirmed. "Especially aliens who need our help." Later, as Carter tried to get some rest in his temporary quarters, Mary Johnson came to see him. His first officer looked worried. "Sir, we've received a message from command," she said. Carter sat up, fully alert. What are their orders? They acknowledge our situation, but they say no rescue fleet is available. The nearest ships with the right equipment are dealing with border skirmishes in the Epsilon sector. Mary hesitated. They're ordering us to return to our patrol route, sir. They say the Envari situation is regrettable, but not our concern. Carter was silent for a long moment. Regrettable, he finally repeated, the word tasting bitter in his mouth. What do we do, Captain? Mary asked. Carter stood up and began pacing the small room. His mind was racing, considering options, weighing consequences. What she was really asking was whether they would obey orders or not. This wasn't a small matter. Disobeying direct orders could end his career. It could end all their careers. But when he thought of the thousands of Envari slowly dying in their failing ship, he knew there was only one choice he could live with. Send a message to Lisa, he said. Tell her to meet me in the communications room in 10 minutes and find Alan. I need his help too. What are you planning, sir? Mary asked, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity. Something that might get us all court-martialed, Carter replied with a grim smile. But I need to know, are you with me on this? Mary didn't hesitate. All the way, sir. Within the hour, Carter had gathered his senior staff. He explained his plan, not hiding any of the risks. When he finished, he looked at each of them in turn. This could cost us everything. I won't order any of you to join me. This has to be voluntary. Frank Adams was the first to respond. Well, I didn't join the service to abandon people in need. I'm in. Me too, said Dr. Parker. One by one, they all agreed. No one chose to step back, even knowing the consequences they might face. With his team behind him, Carter put his plan into action. He asked Lisa to prepare a special broadcast, not a standard distress call or official alliance communication, but a direct appeal to anyone who might be listening. Not just military vessels, but civilian ships, research stations, mining outposts, anyone within range. Alan Peters helped craft the message, making sure it would be understood by as many people as possible. They included data on the Envari situation, the medical crisis, and the technical challenges they faced. This will go against a dozen regulations, Lisa warned as she prepared to send the message. I know, Carter said. Send it anyway. The broadcast went out, traveling across the stars at the speed of light. Carter knew it was a long shot. They were in a remote sector. There might not be anyone close enough to help, but he had to try. 2 days later, as hope was beginning to fade, Lisa burst into the camp, her eyes wide with excitement. Captain, we're getting responses. Multiple responses. Carter rushed to the communications room. The display showed incoming message indicators blinking like stars. Who are they from? He asked, hardly daring to believe it. Everyone, Lisa replied, her voice filled with wonder. Everyone who heard our call is coming to help. The first vessel to arrive was a small research ship that had been studying a nearby nebula. Then came a mining vessel, its holds filled with raw materials that might help repair the Envari ship. A medical transport diverted its course, bringing supplies and equipment, but that was just the beginning. As word spread, more ships changed course. Private yachts carrying doctors, retired engineers on whatever vessels would transport them. University professors specializing in xenobiology. When Carter went to tell Cleveron the news, he found the aliens staring out a viewport at the growing collection of ships surrounding their vessel. I do not understand, Cleveron said, his skin shifting to a confused yellow-green. Who are all these people? Why do they come? They're humans, Carter said simply, and they come because you need help. For the first time since they had met, Cleveron's skin glowed with a warm golden color. It was the color of hope. The SOS that made humanity show its ultimate strength. Part 4. Within a week, the space around the Envari ship had become crowded with vessels of all shapes and sizes. Carter counted over 200 ships, from small personal crafts to large cargo haulers. Each brought people eager to help and resources that might save the dying aliens. The operation that formed was unlike anything in Earth Alliance history, There was no central command, no official chain of authority. Instead, people organized themselves based on skills and needs. Engineers worked with medical teams. Scientists collaborated with mechanics. Everyone contributed what they could. Carter walked through what had once been an empty cargo bay on the Envari ship. Now it buzzed with activity. People had set up workstations, research labs, and planning areas. The air hummed with voices and the sounds of equipment. "It's amazing," Mary Johnson said, walking beside him. "They just keep coming." "I never expected this kind of response," Carter admitted. "A few ships maybe, but this..." A young woman approached them carrying a tablet. "Captain Carter, I'm Nicole Rivera, xenobiology professor from Mars University. My team has some ideas about the radiation poisoning." "Follow me," Carter said, leading her to where Dr. Parker had established her main medical area. Susan looked up as they entered, dark circles under her eyes but a smile on her face. "Will, we're making progress. The samples are responding to a combined therapy approach." "This is Professor Rivera," Carter introduced. "She has some ideas that might help." "Wonderful," Susan said, immediately clearing space at her workstation. "Come see what we found so far." As the two scientists began to share information, Carter stepped back, watching them work. This scene was repeated throughout the ship. Experts who had never met before were now working side by side, building on each other's ideas, finding solutions that none could have discovered alone. In another section, Frank Adams led a team trying to repair the Envari ship's power core. They had pulled equipment from a dozen different vessels, adapting it to work with the alien technology. "The trick," Frank explained to Carter, "is creating an interface between our tech and theirs. We can't fix their biomechanical systems directly, but we can support them while they heal themselves." "Like a medical device that helps a damaged heart keep beating?" Carter asked. "Exactly," Frank beamed. "That's what gave us the breakthrough. When we started thinking of the ship as a patient rather than a machine, everything changed. People collapsed from exhaustion only to be replaced by fresh volunteers. When conventional approaches failed, they tried unconventional ones. When those failed, they invented entirely new methods. Not all the news was good. Carter received word that Earth Alliance had officially disavowed the operation. They claimed the Horizon and its crew were acting without authorization in a potentially dangerous first contact situation. There would be consequences, the message warned, if they did not return to their assigned duties immediately. Carter shared this with his senior staff, but no one suggested leaving. By now, they were all too invested in the outcome, too committed to the Envari and to each other. What surprised Carter most was learning that many military personnel from other Alliance vessels had requested emergency leave to join the rescue effort. Equipment that should have been secured on Alliance stations somehow found its way to the Envari ship. Official logs showed certain ships were nowhere near their location, even as those same vessels delivered critical supplies. At the heart of all this activity, Cliveron and the other Envari watched in amazement. Their skin often glowed with colors the humans had never seen before, colors that the translator suggested meant wonder, gratitude, and growing hope. "Your people are remarkable," Cliveron told Carter as they observed a team adapting a human power generator to work with Envari technology. "So many different humans from so many different places all working together." "That's just who we are," Carter replied. "When someone needs help, we help. It's that simple." "Not simple," Cliveron disagreed. "In our explorations, we have encountered many advanced species, some with technology far beyond yours, but none who would do this for strangers." Carter had no answer for that. He had never considered that humanity's instinct to help others might be unusual among the stars. On the 10th day, Dr. Parker called him to the medical bay, her face glowing with excitement. "We've done it! We found a treatment for the radiation poisoning." The breakthrough had come from an unexpected source, a retired doctor who specialized in treating radiation exposure in deep space miners. His expertise, combined with Professor Rivera's understanding of xenobiology and Dr. Parker's medical skills, had created a treatment that was already showing results. "The cellular deterioration is reversing," Susan explained, showing him the microscope images. It's not a cure yet, but it's buying us time. Lots of time. That same day, Frank's engineering team successfully activated their power support system. For the first time in years, the Envari ship's life support stabilized. Sections that had been dark for a long time began to glow again with soft blue light. "We did it," Frank said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "The ship's core is healing itself. In a few months, it should be back to full strength." That evening, Carter found a quiet corner of the ship to sit alone for a moment. The past 2 weeks had been the most challenging and rewarding of his life. Against all odds, they were succeeding. The Envari would survive. He heard a soft sound and turned to see Cliveron approaching. The Envari leader's skin was a warm, golden color that seemed to light up the dim corridor. "May I join you?" Cliveron asked. Carter nodded, and the tall alien folded his long limbs to sit beside him. "I have been speaking with my council," Cliveron said. "We wish to offer your people something in return for all you have done." "That's not necessary," Carter began, but Cliveron raised a hand to stop him. "You must understand. The Envari are an old species. We have traveled the stars for thousands of your years. We have knowledge, technology, and resources that could benefit humanity greatly." Carter considered this. Such an exchange could transform human society, accelerate their development by centuries. "That's a generous offer," he said carefully. "But that's not why we came." "I know," Cliveron replied, his voice gentle. "And that is precisely why we wish to share with you. Not as payment, but as the beginning of a friendship between our peoples." As they sat together, watching the stars through a viewport, Carter thought about the strange journey that had brought them here. A routine patrol, a mysterious signal, a decision to help. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become something much more important, the first steps toward a new alliance among the stars, built not on power or fear, but on compassion and the willingness to help those in need. Outside the viewport, the lights of hundreds of human ships glowed against the darkness of space. Each one represented people who had dropped everything to save strangers from across the void. No one had ordered them to help. No one had compelled them. They had simply heard that someone was in trouble, and they had come running. In that moment, Captain William Carter had never been prouder to be human. The SOS that made humanity show its ultimate strength. Part 5, 6 weeks after the Horizon had first detected the Envari distress signal, their mission was coming to an end. The alien ship, now partially rebuilt with a blend of Envari and human. Technology was ready to make the journey back to its home system. Its power core pulsed with renewed energy, and its systems were stable enough for long-distance travel. More importantly, the Envari themselves were healing. Dr. Parker's treatment had stopped the radiation poisoning, and the affected aliens were slowly recovering. Those who had been in stasis pods were gradually being awakened, weak but alive. Carter stood in the main shuttle bay, watching as people prepared to return to their own ships. What had begun as a desperate rescue mission had turned into something much more significant. Humans and Envari had worked side by side, learning from each other, building something neither could have created alone. "I still can't believe we did it," Mary Johnson said, joining him. "Not just us," Carter replied, gesturing to the crowds of people. "All of them. Every person who answered our call." Throughout the bay, humans were saying goodbye to the Envari they had worked with. Many exchanges included gestures of friendship, handshakes adapted to six-fingered hands, small gifts, promises to meet again. Carter saw one engineer showing a young Envari how to play a simple card game, while nearby, a Envari taught a group of humans a musical greeting from their world. Cliveron approached, his skin glowing with warm colors of gratitude and friendship. Beside him walked several members of the Envari Leadership Council. "Captain Carter," Cliveron said, "we are ready for our journey home. But first, we wish to speak with you and your people." The Envari leader raised his voice, addressing the entire pairs. "Humans of Earth and its colonies, we thank you for our lives. When all others passed us by, you alone stopped to help. You did not calculate what you would gain. You did not count the cost. You saw our need and responded with your full strength." The eldest council member stepped forward. Her skin was pale and delicate, but her eyes burned with intensity. In our long history of space travel, we have encountered many species, some with greater technology, some with larger populations and more resources, but none with your unique combination of kindness, determination, and creativity. Another council member continued, "The Envari Union formally requests opening diplomatic relations with Earth and its colonies. We offer not just our knowledge and resources, but our friendship." Carter felt a lump in his throat as he replied, "On behalf of humanity, we accept your friendship. Safe journey home. We look forward to meeting again under better circumstances." As the Envari prepared their ship for departure, Carter received an urgent message from Lisa. "Sir, we're being contacted by Earth Alliance Command. They're ordering us to report to Arcturus Station immediately upon the Envari departure. They mention disciplinary hearings." Carter had expected this. Disobeying direct orders, unauthorized first contact, improper use of Alliance resources. The list of regulations they had broken was long. His career was likely over and his crew might face similar consequences. "Send them our acknowledgement," he told Lisa. "Tell them we'll comply." The day of departure arrived. The human ships formed an honor guard as the massive Envari vessel powered up its engines. With a flash of blue-green light, it entered faster-than-light travel, beginning its journey home. One by one, the other ships also departed, returning to their previous missions, jobs, and lives. Finally, only the Horizon remained, preparing to head for Arcturus Station and whatever punishment awaited. "Course laid in, Captain," John Miller reported from the navigation station. "Thank you, John." Carter settled into his command chair. "Let's go face the music." 3 weeks later, Captain William Carter stood before a tribunal of Alliance officers. The hearing room was packed with spectators and media representatives. The events at the Envari ship had become widely known, and public opinion seemed divided. Many praised the rescue as a shining example of humanity's best qualities. Others criticized the blatant disregard for chain of command and protocols. Admiral George Wilson, the head of the tribunal, reviewed the final document before him, then looked up at Carter. "Captain Carter, this tribunal has reviewed all evidence regarding your actions in the rescue of the alien vessel known as the Envari Explorer. You stand accused of disobeying direct orders, conducting unauthorized first contact, and misuse of Alliance resources. How do you plead?" Carter stood straight, his voice clear. "Guilty to all charges, sir." A murmur ran through the room. Carter had refused a defense attorney, stating that he took full responsibility for his actions and their consequences. Admiral Wilson studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well. Before we announce our decision, is there anything you wish to say?" "Only this, sir," Carter replied. "I accept whatever punishment the tribunal deems appropriate, but I ask that my crew be spared. They followed my orders as they were trained to do." "That's commendable, Captain. However, there is one more matter to address." The Admiral gestured, and an aide brought forward a sealed message tube. "This was received yesterday by special courier from the Envari home system." Carter's surprise was evident. "Sir? It seems our new allies are very efficient." Admiral Wilson opened the tube and removed a data crystal, which he inserted into a reader. A holographic message appeared above the device. The image showed Cleveran, standing before what appeared to be the Envari ruling council. He spoke directly to the camera. "People of Earth, we send this message with great urgency. We have learned of the proceedings against Captain William Carter and the crew of the vessel Horizon. We wish it to be known that these individuals represent the highest qualities of your species. Their actions have not only saved thousands of Envari lives, but have opened a new chapter in galactic relations." The message continued, explaining that the Envari Union wished to establish full diplomatic ties with Earth Alliance immediately. They offered technology, resources, and access to a network of peaceful spacefaring species known as the Galactic Concord, a coalition that humanity had previously been judged too primitive to approach. "We now understand," Cleveran concluded, "that the true measure of advancement is not technology, but the capacity for compassion. By this measure, humanity stands as a beacon among the stars. When the message ended, the room was silent. Admiral Wilson cleared his throat. In light of this development and considering the extraordinary circumstances, this tribunal has reached its decision. He looked directly at Carter. Captain William Carter, we find that your actions, while technically in violation of regulations, were in keeping with the highest traditions of Earth Alliance. All charges are hereby dismissed. The room erupted in cheers. Carter stood frozen in shock until Mary Johnson, who had been sitting in the audience, rushed forward to shake his hand. "Congratulations, Captain," she said, beaming. "It seems we didn't end our careers after all." "It seems not," Carter replied, still stunned by the turn of events. Later, as Carter left the tribunal building, he found a crowd of people waiting. Some were crew members from the Horizon. Others were volunteers who had joined the rescue effort. Many were strangers who had only heard the story through news reports. They began to applaud as he appeared. A young cadet approached him, eyes shining with admiration. "Sir, they're saying this is the beginning of a new era for humanity, that the Envari Alliance will change everything." Carter smiled. "Perhaps. But that's not what matters most." "What is, sir?" Carter looked out at the crowd, thinking of the hundreds of ships that had answered his call, thinking of people who had dropped everything to help strangers from across the stars. "What matters," he said quietly, "is that when someone reached out for help, humanity answered. Not because we had to, not because we would gain from it, but simply because it was the right thing to do. And as long as that remains true, I believe humanity's future among the stars is bright indeed." As the sun set behind the spires of Arcturus Station, Captain William Carter walked among his people, carrying with him the knowledge that in humanity's darkest moments, they had shown their ultimate strength. Not weapons or technology or power, but compassion, determination, and the unshakable belief that every life, no matter how alien, was worth saving.